Have you ever felt like you're playing a game of chess with life, but your opponent has invisible, powerful pieces you never saw coming? Those pieces are emotions, fears, and the unexpected challenges that blindside you, leaving you feeling helpless, like a ship without a rudder in a furious storm. For centuries, we've been told that resilience is a fixed trait, something you're either born with or you're not. But what if I told you that you don't have to simply endure these emotional storms? What if you could learn to dance in the rain, to ride the waves, to become an alchemist of your own experience? Imagine a blacksmith in a workshop. He doesn't just pound on hot metal, he forges a blade with intention. He knows that the steel cannot become strong and sharp without being tempered by fire and quenched by water. Our inner strength, our fortitude, is forged in the same way. It's a skill, a deliberate practice, a set of tools you can learn, master, and use to navigate any sea, no matter how rough. This isn't about positive thinking nonsense. This is about a deep, practical understanding of how your mind works and how you can intentionally build the mental fortress you need to not just survive, but to truly thrive. This is about transforming yourself from a victim of circumstance into the master of your own inner world.
Imagine a young woodcarver, his hands capable of bringing life to a block of wood. But every time a chisel slipped or a piece of wood cracked, he would erupt in a fit of rage, his frustration a wildfire consuming his work. His master, a wise old man with hands as steady as stone, watched him silently. One day, he pointed to a lit candle on his workbench. "My boy," he said, "your anger is like that flame. If you keep blowing on it, it will flare up and burn everything in its path. But if you simply let it be, it will consume its own fuel, and eventually, it will fade on its own." This simple wisdom holds a profound truth that modern neuroscience has now validated. An emotion, in its rawest, most physiological form, is just a chemical cocktail coursing through your body. The actual physical response of any emotion naturally dissipates in about 90 seconds. It's a fleeting storm in your body's chemistry. What keeps it alive, the rage, the sorrow, the crippling fear, are the stories we tell ourselves. "I can't believe this happened. I'm such a failure. I'll never be good enough." We replay these narratives, keeping the circuit going with our thoughts and turning a temporary flicker into a prolonged inferno. So, the next time that sudden burst of frustration rises, instead of reacting, try this. Acknowledge the physical sensations, the tight jaw, the clenching fists, the heat in your face. Don't fight them, simply observe them. Pretend you are an anthropologist studying a strange tribal ritual in your own body. Breathe deeply and let the feeling flow through you like the scent of a fading candle. The young woodcarver learned this secret. He learned to let the flame of his anger die down, and in that quiet space, he found the patience to turn his mistakes, the chipped pieces and the cracked wood, into the unique and beautiful details of a new creation. Your emotions are not you. They are simply temporary visitors. You get to decide how long they stay.
We all know the gut-wrenching sting of disappointment, feeling when a cherished dream falls apart. You invest months, maybe years, into a new venture, a relationship, or a personal goal, only to see it crumble. For a gifted photographer, it was losing a prestigious international competition he had poured his soul into. When the news came, he was devastated. He saw his entire life through a single, blurry, gray image of failure. He stared at that picture for weeks, his vision consumed by despair. His mentor, a wizened old artist, walked into his studio, picked up a beautiful old camera, and said, "The problem isn't the subject, son. The problem is the lens you're using to see it." This is the essence of cognitive reframing. It's the ability to change the perspective through which you view an experience without changing the experience itself. Our brains are prediction machines, constantly creating expectations. When reality doesn't match, we feel disappointment. Reframing isn't about pretending everything is wonderful. It's about finding a more accurate, less catastrophic lens. The photographer's mentor didn't tell him to ignore the loss. He told him to change the lens from "I am a failure" to "This is one competition. What specific lessons can I learn from this? What feedback can I get to win the next one?" One lens magnifies the failure and traps you in despair. The other lens opens up possibilities, transforming a paralyzing disappointment into an actionable challenge. It's the difference between seeing a shattered vase and seeing the potential for kintsugi, a new, more beautiful creation born from the cracks. We all know the gut-wrenching sting of disappointment. That feeling when a cherished dream falls apart. You invest months, maybe years, into a new venture, a relationship, or a personal goal, only to see it crumble. For a gifted photographer, it was losing a prestigious international competition he had poured his soul into. When the news came, he was devastated. He saw his entire life through a single, blurry, gray image of failure. He stared at that picture for weeks, his vision consumed by despair. His mentor, a wizened old artist, walked into his studio, picked up a beautiful old camera, and said, "The problem isn't the subject, son. The problem is the lens you're using to see it." This is the essence of cognitive reframing. It's the ability to change the perspective through which you view an experience without changing the experience itself. Our brains are prediction machines, constantly creating expectations. When reality doesn't match, we feel disappointment. Reframing isn't about pretending everything is wonderful. It's about finding a more accurate, less catastrophic lens. The photographer's mentor didn't tell him to ignore the loss. He told him to change the lens from "I am a failure" to "This is one competition. What specific lessons can I learn from this? What feedback can I get to win the next one?" One lens magnifies the failure and traps you in despair. The other lens opens up possibilities, transforming a paralyzing disappointment into an actionable challenge. It's the difference between seeing a shattered vase and seeing the potential for kintsugi, a new, more beautiful creation born from the cracks. Have you ever tried to stop thinking about something, only to find yourself thinking about it even more? That embarrassing thing you said 3 years ago, the mistake you made at work, the argument you replayed 1,000 times. This mental quicksand has a name: rumination. Most people try to fight these thoughts head-on, but that's like trying to stop a river by standing in the middle of it. You'll only get tired and wet, and the river will keep flowing. The key is not to fight the river, but to redirect its flow. Our minds are like a river. If you let it go, it will flow wherever it wants, often into dark and muddy places. But if you create a new, constructive channel for it, water will naturally flow there instead. The key to breaking a rumination cycle is not suppression, but redirection. When you find yourself caught in a loop of a painful memory, try the 5-3-1 technique, reimagined as the paper boat technique. First, name 5 things you can see right now. This activates your visual cortex and pulls you back into the present moment. Next, physically move to a different location, even just taking 3 steps to a different chair or across the room. This physically breaks the loop. Finally, engage in one absorbing activity that requires focus, like folding a piece of paper into a boat and then watching it float away. Your mind is like water. It needs a channel to flow somewhere. By giving it a new, constructive channel, you're not fighting the river, you're guiding it, making it a peaceful, flowing stream instead of a stagnant, swirling pool. We've all had that moment of panic when we make a small mistake in public, say the wrong thing, or notice a stain on our shirt. tiny voice in our head screams, "Everyone is staring. Everyone is judging me." It's a feeling of being under a bright spotlight with all eyes on your flaws. This is a real psychological phenomenon called the spotlight effect, and it has caused more unnecessary suffering than almost any other mental trick. We vastly overestimate how much others notice our appearance, actions, and mistakes. Truth is, everyone else is the main character in their own movie. They are so consumed with their own lines, their own stage fright, their own flaws, they barely notice yours. Think back to a presentation you watched last week. Can you remember the tiny mistakes the speaker made? The stumble, the awkward pause? Probably not, because you were too busy worrying about your own performance or thinking about what you'd have for lunch. Understanding the spotlight effect is incredibly liberating. It frees you from the imaginary jury you've created in your mind, allowing you to focus on what matters rather than how you appear. Most of the judgment you feel is coming from inside the house. So give yourself a break. The audience isn't paying that much attention. They're all just trying to get their own lines right. How do you talk to yourself when you're facing a challenge? You say, "I'm not good enough," or "I'm going to fail"? What if I told you that simply changing the pronoun you use when you talk to yourself could significantly reduce anxiety and improve your performance? This is the power of third-person self-talk. When you say, "I am going to fail," you are fused with that feeling. It becomes your identity. But when you talk to yourself using your own name or the pronoun you create a critical psychological distance from the intense emotion, allowing you to see the situation more objectively. It's like having a wise, objective friend who knows all your strengths and weaknesses. Think about how easily you can see solutions for a friend's problems that they can't see for themselves. This technique gives you access to that same clarity. Instead of, "I can't handle this," you can say, "John has faced challenges before and found a way through them." This tiny shift activates the rational, problem-solving part of your brain, essentially giving you access to your own wisdom on demand. You're not fighting a battle alone. You're getting advice from the one person who truly knows you best, yourself. So, the next time you face a challenge, ask the advisor in the mirror for some advice. You'll be surprised at how wise you really are. We've explored several powerful tools today. The candle of anger teaches you that emotions are temporary and you don't have to feed them. The lens of perspective helps you turn setbacks into comebacks. Your mind's rescue map gives you a plan for when emotions threaten to overwhelm. As the gardener of the mind, you can choose to cultivate thoughts that serve you. The spotlight effect frees you from the fear of judgment, and the advisor in the mirror gives you access to your own inner wisdom. These are not quick fixes or one-time tricks. They are practices to integrate into your daily life. Resilience is not a trait you are born with. It is a muscle you strengthen through consistent, intentional practice. It's like installing a new operating system for your brain, one that helps you run better, faster, and more smoothly. So, where do you start? Pick just one of these tools that resonated with you the most. Practice it deliberately for 1 week. See what changes. Then add another. Resilience isn't about avoiding the storms. It's about learning to build a ship that can withstand them and a lighthouse that can always guide you home. Your journey to a more resilient, intentional life begins with a single step. Take that step today.